All right, welcome to your core conditioning. Everything is 100% body weight today. You will need a mat, you will need some water, but before we get into our core work, we're gonna do a very short warm up. We're gonna start with 10 jumping jacks, whether you wanna do 10 high or 10 low impact jacks. I'll leave that up to you. And then once you have done 10 jumping jacks, you're gonna find your mat, stand at the bottom of it, and we're going to do 5 walkouts. So we're at the back of your mat. Wider legs are gonna be a little bit easier on those hamstrings. We're gonna bring the hands down towards the floor. Walk your hands out into that nice plank position. Come back, just touch the toes. Don't have to stand all the way up. And then walk it out again. Keeping your eyes on the floor, keeping that belly button pulled up into the spine. We're gonna do just 5. I've got 2 left, and then once you have done your 5 walkouts, we're gonna stand all the way back up. We're gonna finish off with 10 total body extensions, and then we get into circuit number 1 of our core work. So total body extension, squat jump without the jump. So we're simply going to squat down, reach up for the ceiling, sitting back on those heels, coming up onto the tippy toes. 10 reps total, and once you have done your 10, we're gonna come down on the floor on your back, starting with some abdominal leg raises. We got 3 circuits to go through today. Each circuit is done 3 times, with each move being done for 35 seconds with a 10-second rest. So we're gonna do an abdominal leg raise. We're gonna add a little hip lift at the top. That is move number 1. Then pick a side left or right. We got some side plank hip dips. Then we get to go back to those walkouts that we just used in the warm up. All right, hit the deck for me. For some reason, I am already out of breath. So tuck those hands under the hips. Bring those legs up towards the ceiling. We're gonna lower 1 or 2 legs down to the floor. Use those abdominals to pull the legs back up. And then we're gonna lift the heels up towards the ceiling. All right, I've got 35 seconds on my timer. Here we go. Lower down as far as you can. Keep that back into the mat. Use those abs, pull back up and lift. Do not worry about how low you get the legs towards the floor. And if you want to make the leg lift a little bit easier, lower 1 leg, pull it in, hip lift. Lower the other leg, pull it back up, go into that hip lift. Good. We're here for 35 seconds. When the timer goes, we're gonna use that 10-second break. We're gonna pick a side left or right. We're gonna go into a side plank position, whether it's a modified or a full side plank, does not matter. So modified, keep the bottom leg bent. Full, keep both legs straight. So we're gonna pop it back up. You're gonna take that hip, drop it down to the floor, pop it up as high as you can. You got it. Good. So as you lift the hip up towards the ceiling, we're gonna use that whole oblique underside of that hip. Good. And again, remember, you can drop down into that modified position, do the exact same thing. Take a little bit of your body weight off, which then makes it easier. We got 10 seconds. We're gonna drop and roll. We'll get set up on the other side. In 4, 3, 2, there it is. All right, same thing on the other side. Modified or a full side plank, you choose. Pop it up, hand on the hip. We're gonna drop the hip, push the hip up as high as you can towards the ceiling. I want you to make the range as big as you can. Good, you may just drop the hip and come back up so that you're in a nice straight position. You might be able to push that hip up higher. Good, 15 seconds left. We're gonna stand up again. We're gonna stand at the back of the mat and we'll do those walkouts just like how we did in the warm-up. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good. All right, so at the back of your mat. Now if you're tighter in those hamstrings and calves, make sure you make those feet a little bit wider. Hands come down. We're gonna walk out into your plank position. Make sure you stop here. Don't let the hips drop. Don't leave your butt up in the air. Nice solid plank. Just touch the toes when you come back. You don't have to stand all the way up. Keeping those eyes on the floor. Keep your belly button pulled up into the spine. We want to keep those abs nice and tight. I need 10 more seconds. And then we're back down on the mat, on your back for those leg lift, hip lift combination. Perfect. All right, come on down. Bringing those hands under the hips again. Starting with the feet up, push that back down into the mat. Lower 1 or 2 legs to the floor. Use those abdominals to pull the legs back up and then lift. Good. Remember, you can alternate the leg lift. You don't have to lower both legs at the same time. Good. And you can take a pause. So you can do the hip lift, just try to take a little rest or pause if you need to before you go into the next rep. Just keep pushing through the 35 seconds without completely stopping. All right, side plank. Pick a side left or right for me. Modified or a full, and I'm gonna challenge you to start in the full side plank position, even if it's just for 1 or 2 reps, and then drop down to the modified to finish off. Challenging yourself with the harder version each time is gonna make that harder version easier as you get stronger. But if you don't try, you'll never know and you'll never get there. Good. All right, I need about 10 more seconds on this side. We'll drop and roll. Get set up on the other side. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good. Modified or full. Ideally starting in that full side plank, even if it's just for 1 rep. Let's pop it up. Drop that hip down, push that hip up as high as you can. Good. So the bigger you make the range of motion, the more challenging it's going to be. So if you're going off the toes for the first time, keep it nice and small. Good. We have our walkouts coming up next, just so you know where we're heading. So we're gonna stand back up at the bottom of our mat. 10 seconds left. Good, keep pushing through. I need 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax, good. All right, we're at the back of our mat. Make those feet nice and wide if you're tighter in those hamstrings. Hands come down. We're gonna walk it out into our plank. Watch those hips, don't let them drop. Don't leave them up into the air. You got it. And make those feet wider if you need to. We gotta do each one of these moves 1 more time. We've got 15 seconds left with these walkouts. We're gonna come back down on our back. We'll get set up for our leg lift, hip lift combination. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right, spin it over. Tuck those hands under the hips for me again. Bring those feet up. Push your back down into that mat. Lower 1 leg or 2. Really focus using those abdominals to pull the legs back up. Push those hips up. Now that hip lift might be very small, and that's okay. In order to do that hip lift, you really want to tuck that pelvis under, really draw that belly button in, and we're really using more of those lower abdominals to lift the heels towards your ceiling. We have our side plank hip dips coming up in about 5 seconds, so get ready to pick a side left or right. Good. Side planks. Again, try the full side plank, even if it's just for 1 rep. Pop it up, drop that hip down, push the hip up as high as you can. Good. You may find as you get a little bit more warmed up, you might be able to go a little bit bigger in your range of motion. You may find too, as we go through the rounds, the abdominals are gonna start to fatigue, and you may have to slow it down in order to keep good technique, and that's okay. We got about 10 seconds left here. We're gonna drop and roll. We'll get set up on the other side. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good. Drop and roll. All right, so at least one rep from the full side plank position. Here we go, let's pop it up. Drop that hip down, pop it up as high as you can, you got it. Last time here, we're gonna do our walkouts one more time. We'll take a little bit of a bigger break, we'll grab some water, and we'll get set up for circuit number 2. We got 3 moves in each circuit. Good. And we're down on the floor for all 3 in circuit number 2. There's no standing up. In 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Last time with these walkouts, standing at the bottom of your mat, making your feet as wide as you need to accommodate any tight hamstrings. Hands come down, let's walk it out. Good. Keeping your eyes on the mat. Belly button pulled up into the spine. Getting those hips right parallel with the floor in the bottom position. Good. You got it. I need about 15 more seconds. We'll grab a quick drink. We're gonna come back down on the mat in a nice seated position. I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways to do our V-sit crunches. Awesome, good. Grab a quick drink for me. And then you can come right back down on the floor. And we're gonna do this V-sit tuck crunch. So I'm gonna show you a couple of different ways of doing it. We're going to lean back, so put your hands wherever they feel comfortable by your hips or glutes. We're gonna lean back slightly. So option 1, the more you lean back, the more tension you're gonna create on those abdominals. Option 1 is to alternate knees in towards the chest. Option 2, pull both knees in, set the feet down. If you want to make it harder, keep those feet up and off the floor, and I'm just going to talk you through the rest. So let's get ourselves set up. Starting with those V-sit tuck crunches, 35 seconds. Here we go. Lean it back, tuck it in and out. So remember, your easiest version is you're going to alternate knees, and the more you lean it back, the more of a challenge it's going to be. So you can keep it nice and small. You can make it a lot bigger. You can even take your hands up and off the floor. Good. Option 2 is those 2 feet. Tapping down to make it a little bit easier, or keeping those feet up and off the floor. We've only got 3 seconds. We're back into our side plank position. So a modified or a full side plank. You're gonna take your top hand and bring it right up to the ear. We're going to do a crunch. So we're gonna bring the elbow down towards the floor, and then open up through that chest as much as you can, and then crunch it back down. As that elbow comes down to the floor, you're gonna pop that hip up, just like we did in that side plank hip dip. So we're basically taking that hip dip, and we are adding a crunch to it. 10 seconds left, and then we're gonna drop and roll. We'll get set up on the other side. Remember, this can be done from a modified position. It's the same thing. Good. All right, other side. Modified or a full side plank, up to you. All right, let's pop it up. Hand to the ear. Bring that elbow down to the floor. Open up through that chest, good. Take your time, don't rush it. Sometimes speed is not your friend. I want you to control the movement. Feel stable as you go through the crunch. And once we are done here, we're gonna come into a high plank or push-up position for thread the needle. And I'm gonna show you 2 options with that one as well, but you need to be on the toes and the hands. So if you need to make it easier, elevate those hands up and off the floor. So find a staircase, a nice solid coffee table, or a workout bench. But we are here. Option 1, kick through, set it back. Kick through, set it back. Option 2, hand to opposite foot. Doing your best to keep those hips down. So I don't want your butt coming up into the air. I want a nice flat back, belly button pulled up into the spine, and you can add the hand tap, or you can simply just kick the leg through under the body. Good. We have less than 10 seconds. We're gonna go back to the top with that V-sit crunch. And 2, and 1, good. All right, grab a seat for me. 2 legs or 1. You can elevate the feet off the floor if you'd like. Let's lean it back, tuck that belly button in. Here we go. Keep your hands on the floor if you want a little bit more stability. Take them off the floor if you want a bit more of a challenge. Remember, this is the hardest version here. Feet are off, and I'm going 2 legs at a time. To make it a bit easier, throw those feet back down on the floor between each rep. To make it a bit easier, alternate left and right. Good. And your hands can always stay on or off the floor. I need 4 more seconds. That is it. All right. Side plank, elbow crunches, modified or full. You choose. Pop it up for me. Top hand to the elbow or to the ear. Crunch it down to the floor. Open up through that chest. Good. I want you to make sure that you come into a nice open position at the top and not just keep it short and tight. Open all the way up and down. Good. Lifting that hip up as the elbow comes down. Remember, we basically just added on to that side plank hip dip. We have less than 10 seconds, and then we'll drop and roll. In 4, 3, 2, good. All right, same thing on the other side. Modified or full, top hand to the ear. Let's get that hip up. Elbow comes down to the floor, hip comes up towards the ceiling. Opening up through that chest. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's very easy as the body gets tired. It likes to take shortcuts. It likes to make things easier, and we don't want to do that. Nice, 15 seconds. And then we're gonna go back to our thread the needle. So we're in our high plank or push-up position. Hands can be on the floor, or you can elevate them to make it a bit easier. In 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right. High plank or push-up. Hands and toes. Elevate the hands to make it easier. Again, keep those abs nice and tight. Option 1, kick it through, keeping the hands on the floor. Option 2, we take that hand off and we kick hand to foot, or foot to hand, I should say. Keeping the hips down. I don't want you to letting the butt creep up towards the ceiling. And take your time. The faster you move, the more unstable you're going to get. I need 10 more seconds and 1 more round. Back to those V-sit tuck crunches. In 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, last round. Grab a seat, 2 legs or 1. Feet either on or off the floor. Hands either on or off the floor. Let's lean it back. Tuck that belly button in. Here we go. Out and in. Good. I want you to start with the hardest version for you. Do 1 or 2 reps, and then make it a little bit easier to finish off the 35 seconds. Good. If you feel your back, hands down, go into an alternating leg, keeping 1 foot down on the floor. I need 10 seconds. That is it. Last time with these side plank crunches. In 5, 4, 3, 2, good. Picking a side, left or right. I want you to do at least 1 or 2 reps from a full side plank position, and then drop it down to finish off. Let's pop it up. Here we go. Elbow comes down. Open up through that chest and shoulder. Drive that hip up to allow that elbow to crunch down towards the floor. You got it. Nice, I got 15 seconds left on this side. That is it, and then we get to drop and roll. 10 more seconds. Almost there. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Same thing on the other side. I want you to try and do 1 or 2 reps from that full side plank position. Drop down to the modified if you need to. Pop it up. Hand to the ear, hip comes up, elbow comes down towards the floor. Good. You got it. Getting that hip up as high as you can. Nice opening up through that chest and shoulder. We have 15 seconds left on that climber. climber. Timer. 10 seconds left. One more move. We have our thread the needles. So we're in our high plank position. Hands can be on or off the floor. And the higher you get the hands off the floor, the easier it will be. All right. So remember, you got those two options. Keep both hands on the floor as you kick one leg under the body, or take one hand off the floor and kick hand to foot. Keeping those hips down. Keep that belly button pulled in. You got it. And eyes are gonna follow your foot. 15 seconds left. We're gonna grab some water. We're gonna go into our last circuit. And in our last circuit, we're gonna start on our back. We have a double crunch into a leg extension. And again, I'll show you a couple of options. Woo. Perfect. All right, grab a quick drink, meet me down on the floor on your back again. So, move number one. Hands come behind the head, knees at about 90 degrees. We're gonna crunch the knees and the elbows in together. So we're gonna come into that double crunch. Option one is to extend both legs, pull it in, double crunch. Option two, we still do that double crunch and then extend one leg. Pull it in, extend the other. And the more you extend the leg down to the floor, the more of a challenge it's gonna be. All right, and then I just get to talk you through the rest. Here we go. So drive that back down into the mat, pull the knees and elbows in together, extend one or two legs. Good. Keeping that back push down into the floor. So the lower the legs get to the floor, the more of a challenge it's going to be. Good. To make it easier, keep the legs more towards the ceiling. All right, we got 10 seconds left. We're gonna stay on our back. We're gonna relax the upper body, bringing our hands out to 3 and 9 o'clock, keeping the knees at 90 degrees. So, windshield wipers. Hands are out, knees are up, back is pushed down into the mat. We're gonna drop the knees either to the left or to the right, as far as you can. We're gonna use those obliques, pull back to the middle, and then other side. These are called windshield wipers, and this is option number one, keeping those knees bent to about 90 degrees. Now, if you want to make it harder, you straighten the legs out. You had a longer lever, it's gonna make it more of a challenge. You got it. Taking your time. Don't let the legs just drop to the floor. You gotta control it. Using those obliques to come back to the middle. Good. Flip it over, my friends. Everybody's in a plank position on their forearms, knees or toes as we do some hip dips. So we are here. Drop the hips to the floor, drop the hips to the floor. Same thing can be done from the knees. Drop the hips, come back to middle. Drop the hips, come back to middle. Using the obliques to pull the hips back to center. Your feet are gonna move around a little bit, so just kind of keep adjusting them. Good, we have about 10 seconds left. We're gonna go back to the top with our double crunch leg extension combination in 4, 3, 2, and relax. Good. Flip. Feet at 90 degrees, well, knees at 90 degrees. Back is into the floor, hands behind the head. We're gonna use those abs, lift the shoulders, tuck the knees in, and then extend the legs out as far as what's comfortable. Whether you extend 2 legs at a time or pull it in, extend 1 leg. Pull it in, extend the other. So you got 2 choices. 2 choices. Start with the hardest version for you, even if it's just 1 or 2 reps, and then drop it down. We got less than 10 seconds. You got it. And then we have those windshield wipers. Nice, okay. Bent legs or straight, or do a combination of the 2. Arms are out to 3 and 9. So option 1, 90 degrees. Drop the knees as far as you can, use those obliques, pull back to the middle. Same thing on the other side. Option 2, straighten those legs out. Same thing, longer lever, more of a challenge. Keeping those arms out. I like to keep my palms up. That way my abs are doing all the work. I'm not relying on my arms to help out. Good. We have our plank hip dips coming up. Get ready to flip it over. So everybody's on their forearms, knees or toes as we drop the hips left and right. Here we go, pop it up. Keeping your back nice and flat, so I don't want your hips up in the air. I don't want your hips dropping. Nice flat back, eyes are on the floor. Dropping those hips down as far as you can. They do not have to touch the floor. Using the obliques to pull back to middle. We have about 10 more seconds. We've got one more round. You got it. We have that double crunch with the leg extensions in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Flip it over. Good. Knees at 90, hands behind the head. Let's push your back down into the mat. Lift the shoulders, tuck those knees in. Extend 1 or 2 legs out. Good. And then pull it back in. Good. Remember, 2 legs is harder than 1. Extending the legs right down to the floor. More of a challenge than extending out on more of a 45-degree angle towards your ceiling. We got 10 seconds. Nice work. Good. We got those windshield wipers coming up. Perfect. All right, hands out. Knees can be at 90 degrees or legs can be nice and straight. Push your back down into the mat. Drop the legs. Using those obliques to pull back to center. Good. And then other side. Do not worry about how low you bring the legs towards the floor. It's gotta work for you. You gotta be able to get those legs back to your midpoint. And then when the timer goes, we've got just 1 move left. 1 move. Whew. This one takes a little bit of concentration. Good. All right, you ready for our plank hip dips? Flip it over, my friends. Everybody's on their forearms, knees, or toes. This is your last 35 seconds. Let's pop it up. Here we go. Drop those hips, pull back to middle. Good. Keep that back nice and flat. Belly button pulled in, eyes are on the floor. Make sure those hips don't drop. Make sure they don't come up towards your ceiling. If you need to take a little mini break, take it here. Do 1 rep, take another break. Do 1 rep. Good. We got 10 seconds. That is it. Come on, keep going. Almost there. And then you can grab some water, take some time, stretch it out in 3, 2, and 1. Perfect. Job well done. Stay down on the floor. Do some cobra stretches, child poses. If you need to stretch out those hips, flip over onto your back, do some of the figure 4s and those knee drops that we do. Job well done today. Have an amazing rest of the day, and I cannot wait to see you in the next workout.